Hi everyone, my name is Cynthia. Let's talk books. And I've got my puppers with me around. This one is Lady, and she's been sick lately, so I've got to keep her with me. Also, she is threatening to bark at everything out the window, so she's staying with me. But today I'd like to talk to you about one of my favorite books that I've read so far this year, and that is Gods of Jade and Shadow by Silvia Moreno-Garcia. This was such a fantastic book, and I had the honor and privilege of meeting Silvia Moreno-Garcia when she came to my town a few months ago. I'd been saving up and dedicated review of the book for when I could show you some video and photos of it. I actually was not able to take video of the event, and it was mostly because it literally happened like a couple of days before the pandemic shut down in Southern California. But I feel extra lucky then that I got to meet her and got her to sign my books. But let's get to the book because that's what you're all here for. So first of all, what is it about? So it is a travel adventure story where we're following a young woman, Cassiopeia, as she travels through Mexico with the god of death. Yes, it's a fantasy adventure story set in 1920s Mexico, and it's just such a rich, beautiful book. When I read it, I actually was able to convince my book club to read it with me, and some of the book club members did feel that the beginning of the book was a little bit slow, but that by the time you get through the first part, you're really well into it, and most people really enjoyed it. So I'm like, even if you don't love Silvia Moreno-Garcia the way I do, I think it is a book that is worth your time for several reasons, right? One of the themes of the story is like that young person living in a rural area, constrained by different elements of society, waiting for an adventure. And that is really powerful, especially for young women, because gender is actually a big part of the story. Cassiopeia is young, but she's also a woman. And the idea was that she wasn't supposed to leave her town. In fact, she's financially dependent on her grandfather, and her family's not gonna allow her to just like take off. But she's been dreaming of going into town. She wants to save money to do that, and she just needs a chance at this. Enter the god of death. I'm not gonna tell you how that happens. You're gonna have to read the book for it, and I'll try to not give any spoilers in this review, but Hunkame comes along, and he like basically opens up the door to adventure for her, and she takes it. Right? And she ends up doing things that she had never done before, and kind of experiencing the freedom of like travel and adventure, and of like doing it with somebody who's powerful and can open up those doors for her. I found that really powerful. At the talk that I went to with Silvia Moreno-Garcia, she talked about how part of the inspiration for that element of the story was La India Maria, and watching the movies of La India Maria with her grandmother. And that, as soon as she said that, like a light bulb went off in my head, and I said, yes, I loved La India Maria. If you're not familiar with her, it is this Mexican character. It's created by this Mexican comedic actress that was kind of like a Lucy, like from I Love Lucy character, where she was always getting into hijinks, but she's a poor indigenous woman who like is kind and is like going on adventures basically in each of her movies, and it's really great stories. Comes from like the golden age of cinema in Mexico, and I definitely saw that element here, and it really spoke to me that she was inspired by those stories. Another theme in the book is the story of like kind of like sibling relationships, right? Cassiopeia has a complicated relationship with her cousin Martin because he is the male of the family. He's going to inherit the money, inherit the power, and he doesn't understand Cassiopeia, and Cassiopeia doesn't understand him, and they get into conflict a lot of times. That relationship is paralleled by Hunkame and his brother, who is Vukum Kame. Hopefully I'm pronouncing all of these names right. I think I am, but Vakumkame is his brother, and they're kind of like opposites in a lot of ways. And Cassiopeia is, going on this adventure with Hunkame to try to help him. And throughout, like, at some point during the journey, she realizes that, like, he's not really the good brother. That challenges our ideas of good and bad too, but also that, the relationship between the brothers is very much of like one has power in the relationship and the other one's waiting. It's waiting for his chance. And that was very much the relationship between Cassiopeia and Martin. And so here's Cassiopeia on this adventure with like basically the wrong brother. Like she has way more in common with Vukunkame, but she's falling in love with the other brother, and like that's going to create some conflict there. Right. Another one of the really important themes in this book is that of the other world, because the world of the gods, right, of Kunkame and Hunkame is a totally different world, layered and complex. And a lot of what I got out of that journey was of like, you're on a road, right? And the road of life, and it's going to throw different obstacles in your path, and how you deal with those says a lot about you, about your character, about who you are. And you definitely see that who Martin is, who Cassiopeia is, when they're on this road. That's all I'm going to say about that. Obviously, as I've hinted at before, one of the other themes is love, and what you're willing to do for like that kind of first love, the first love that opens doors for you, but it's impossible, right? Because in a lot of ways, I feel like your first love is really hard to recreate because you go into it so naively, and a lot of times it leads to kind of impossible situations, and you have to make choices, and the choices you make say a lot about you as well, and it helps create who you are. And I feel like a lot of that is happening with Cassiopeia. I'm not going to give away the ending, obviously, but I felt like the ending was just so incredibly right in this book. Like Silvia Moreno-Garcia hit the nail on the head with that ending, and everyone in the book club agreed. So I know that it was not just me. And then lastly, a big theme here is kind of the historical setting of Mexico in the 20s. What Moreno-Garcia is doing so well is taking you on this journey and letting you see different parts of Mexico. The big city, the rural areas, and then Baja California. And I just love that because she clearly did her research. This is a work of fiction, but it's based on a lot of reality. And like a lot of what Moreno-Garcia does is give you a glimpse of a historical Mexico that you don't hear in the news. A historical Mexico that you're not, like, it's not typical for most people to have access to, at least in the US. And she's giving you like a little window into it, and hopefully if you're interested enough, you're gonna go and open that window, open that door, and that world will become larger for you. And I just loved being in this Mexico that she depicted here, and imagining, like, not my parents, because my parents grew up around the 70s in Mexico, but maybe the world of my grandparents and what that must have been like for them. Although my family comes from very rural Mexico, so like the city and town parts was just not going to be relatable, but a lot of like the small town things were a little bit more relatable to what I imagined the world of like my family was like. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. It has already come out paperback. So if this has been on your TBR, I really, really highly recommend it. I think there's a lot here. If you like fantasy, if you like adventure stories, if you're interested in a historical setting, and following a female character, I think there's a lot to love here. And if you have already read it and want to gush with me about this book down in the comments, please do. And if you end up reading it, please come back and tell me what you think, because I'd love to hear the way everyone else has processed the little windows that Silvia Moreno-Garcia opens up for us here. So that is it for me. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.